If you're planning to move to the Philippines because you watch a glamorous travel vlog, then you are likely putting yourself up into a massive reality check. Every year, thousands of expats pack their bags for paradise, only to catch the first flight back home after a few months. Why? Because there is a vast gulf between traveling to the country and actually living in it. The tourism boards and lifestyle bloggers show you the highlight reel because tourism drives the economy, contributing roughly 8.1% to the country's GDP last 2025 according to the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA. They aren't going to film the slums, the bureaucratic gridlock, or the infrastructure deficits. In this video, we are stripping away the romanticized filters. I will share 9 specific types of foreigners who will absolutely struggle or likely fail to adapt to the life in the Philippines. First, you will struggle if you cannot handle intense and unrelenting heat. The Philippines is a tropical maritime country. According to Pag-asa or the National Meteorological Agency, we do not have 4 seasons. We only have 2, the rainy season and the dry season, which the latter peaks into a scorching summer from March to May. You have probably seen Western vloggers walking around looking perfectly fine on camera. But if you look closer, they are sweating profusely. Temperature soars past 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit. When you combine that with a relative humidity level that exceed 80% frequently, then the index or the heat index can easily feel like 42 degrees Celsius or 108 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. If you rely on crisp, cool autumn air or low humidity to keep your mood and health stable, then the climate here in the Philippines would surely wear you down physically and mentally within weeks. You will struggle here if you are hyperprotective of your privacy and you detest nosy neighbors. Western cultures are deeply individualistic. The Philippines, however, is a deeply collectivist society. Community integration here isn't optional, it's the default setting. The smallest administrative unit is the barangay. And in a barangay, everyone knows everyone. And often, they know the business of the neighboring barangay too. The epicenter of local information exchange is the sari-sari store. The small neighborhood convenience shops found in almost every corner. It is a natural hub for chica or gossip. If you move here to the Philippines expecting absolute privacy, where neighbors mind their own business and leave you in isolation, you will constantly feel scrutinized here. To an outsider, it can feel invasive, but to the locals, it's how the community keeps tabs in its environment. Third, you will struggle here if you lack patience or have zero tolerance for ongoing administrative hurdles. This country will break you. In the Philippines, waiting is a structural reality. Whether lining up for the grocery store cashier, waiting for a commuter terminal to fill up, or trying to secure basic documents, everything takes time here. It's not just the daily line at the grocery store, it's the long term legal maintenance of your stay. Unless you are on a specialized retirement visa like SRRV, which requires a significant financial deposit, or you're married to a citizen, you will likely be living on tourist visa extensions, which means you need to make regular trips to the Bureau of Immigration every 1 or 2 months, stand in lines, fill out paperwork, and pay recurring fees. Furthermore, if you stay in the country longer for more than 6 months, you cannot just simply leave the country. You must line up again to secure an immigration clearance certificate or ECC before your flight. Efficiency models in that work in the Western Europe or Northern America do not apply here. If delays and repetitive paperwork can cause your blood pressure to spike, the Philippine or the daily friction of Philippine bureaucracy will surely be an unbearable source of chronic stress. Fourth, you will struggle here if you're a strict introvert who hates unsolicited social interactions. Filipinos are globally renowned for being warm, hospitable, and highly approachable. But there is a flip side to that for introverts. People will approach you. If you are a foreigner, expect to hear locals call out, "Hey Joe," a colloquialism that's left over from the American colonial and military presence. Filipinos will look at you and smile or try to strike up a conversation out of genuine curiosity or friendliness. If you're someone who wants to put your headphones on, look down, and walk through the world undisturbed, this constant social friction can be exhausting. Unless you have a very scary, intimidating demeanor that signals people to stay away, you will surely be engaged by the public here. Fifth, if you have a serious, chronic, or specialized health condition, moving to the Philippines is a massive gamble. Let's be factual. The healthcare system in the Philippines is deeply stratified. High income locals who require serious medical treatment regularly fly to Singapore, Taiwan, or the United States. If you plan to live out your dreams in the beautiful provinces here in the Philippines, you need to understand the medical infrastructure. Most small municipalities do not have fully equipped hospitals. They only have small district hospitals. Take the southern tip of Cebu as an example. If you live there, your nearest district options are in Oslob or Malabuyok, which are still a 1 or 2 hour drive away. Furthermore, these district facilities are limited to basic diagnostics like standard complete blood count or CBC or basic x-rays. They cannot handle complex emergencies or specialized cardiac, oncology, or neurological care. To access high-end tertiary private hospitals with advanced medical equipment, you must travel to Cebu City. In an emergency, that's a minimum of 3 hours in an ambulance or up to 5 hours on a private vehicle, depending on the unpredictable heavy traffic. Alternatively, you face a 1 hour ferry ride via a Roro boat to a neighboring island just to get to a port, followed by more road travel. If you say, "Fine, I'll just live in a high-end subdivision in this city," you have to contend with the urban air quality. Major metropolitan cities or areas like Manila or some parts of Cebu suffer from significant vehicular pollution, which poses severe risks if you have respiratory issues like asthma or COPD. Sixth, you will struggle here in the Philippines if you are a picky eater, a strict vegetarian, or someone set on a highly specific diet. There is a huge trend among travel vloggers overpraising Filipino cuisine. While we have incredible dishes, we must be honest. A lot of that content is Pinoy baiting, playing into the intense national pride of Filipino viewers to maximize engagement and views. But let's look at the actual data from people who lived here long term, not just for a 2 week vacation. Early in my career, I worked as an ESL teacher or English as a secondary language teacher. I taught hundreds of teenagers and adults from South Korea, Taiwan, Vietnam, Thailand, China, Japan, and the Middle East. They lived in school accommodations and spent months traveling around Cebu and Bohol. The overwhelming consensus among them, they struggled heavily with the local diet. The common complaint was that the food is heavily oil centric and predominantly fried. Furthermore, international staples can be incredibly scarce. If you are looking for specific leafy greens or specialized varieties of fish common in the East Asia or West, you will not find them in the local public markets. I have known many Western expats who maintain specific diets consisting only of specific protein like salmon. If you are in the province, finding fresh salmon or imported goods is nearly impossible or prohibitively expensive. If you cannot adjust your palate to local ingredients, food becomes a daily source of frustration. Seventh, if your livelihood depends on flawless internet connection and 100% power uptime, you are facing a massive infrastructure bottleneck. The digital nomad boom has brought many remote workers to our shores, and our infrastructure remains in progress. Even if you reside in a major city or in the heart of a major city, cellular and fiber signals can be surprisingly inconsistent. In many central urban neighborhoods, signal degradation occurs heavily during peak evening hours when network bottlenecks. If you move to a secluded, scenic provincial area, you have to expect that signal drops off exponentially. Beyond internet connectivity, you have to factor in the power grid. In the city, you face rolling power outages during the peak summer months due to grid strain. In the provinces, unscheduled power interruptions are a regular part of life, on top of the scheduled maintenance shutdowns that routinely occurs on Saturdays, lasting from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. But the biggest threat to a remote setup in the Philippines isn't a maintenance schedule, it's the weather. The Philippines sits directly in the Pacific typhoon belt, experiencing an average of 20 typhoons per year according to Pag-asa. When a major typhoon hits, it doesn't just mean a rainy afternoon. It means localized flooding that cuts off supply lines, municipal water interruptions, and catastrophic infrastructure damage. As we saw with major storms like Typhoon Odette, severe storms can completely knock out power grids, cell towers, and fiber optic lines, not just for days, but for weeks or even months at a time. If your income depends on being entirely online, then a single storm can halt your business completely. Eighth, you will struggle if you cannot separate marketing and tourist privileges from the legal realities of residency. When a YouTuber explores pristine mountain ridges, you are looking at a commercial product designed for tourists. No tourist pays thousands of dollars to film urban congestion and or underfunded public areas. The agencies here promote the absolute best because tourism is a critical economic pillar. But when you transition from a tourist to a resident, you directly run into strict constitutional laws. Under the 1987 Philippine Constitution, foreign nationals are prohibited from owning land. You can buy a condominium unit or long-term lease a land, but you cannot own the soil beneath your feet. Furthermore, if you want to start a local brick and mortar business to support yourself, most industries require a 60% Filipino ownership stake. Many expats ignore this reality, fall in love, and put their entire life savings into building a house on a land legally owned by a local partner or a spouse. If the relationship sours, the foreigner has zero legal recourse or ownership protection under Philippine law. The expectations of easy, unrestricted tropical living quickly shatters against strict legal boundaries. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, you will fail here in the Philippines if you're someone who is never truly content or who expects that a foreign country adapts to them. No country on this planet is perfect. Every nation has a unique matrix of flaws, systemic issues, and cultural quirks. If your natural disposition is to constantly complain, compare everything to your home country, and demand that local system change to accommodate your personal preferences, you will find yourself in a perpetual state of anger. The Philippines requires a high level of psychological resilience, adaptability, and acceptance. The people here are resilient and resourceful because we navigate these systemic challenges every day. If you cannot adopt the same mindset of patience and humility, this environment will exhaust you. The Philippines is an incredible place to live in, but only for the right type of person. The country rewards those who are patient, socially adaptable, physically resilient, and realistic about the infrastructure and legal boundaries. If you have a medical condition, need flawless 24/7 internet connection, or require absolute privacy, you need to think very carefully about where and how you position yourself if you choose to move here in the Philippines. Don't move here blindly after watching a 10-minute travel video. Do your research, understand the geographic limitations of our provinces, and prepare yourself for the realities on the ground. Now, I want to hear from you. If you're an expat living here or someone planning who is seriously planning to move here, which of these nine challenges you think would be your breaking point? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. But look, it's not at all bad news. If you know you have the resilience to handle these realities, your next big decision is figuring out where you base yourself. Should you choose the convenience but congestion of the metro, or the beauty but limited infrastructure in the provinces? I uploaded a completely transparent breakdown of the pros and cons of living in the city versus in the province here in the Philippines. You can click on this video to watch. Once again, my name is Art and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!